Now, honey, come sit down for a minute, because Auntie Grace has got to tell you something that might make you put your coffee down. There is a proposal floating around that could put a $50,000 yearly cap on Social Security for single retirees and $100,000 for married couples. And before you say, well, Auntie Grace, that ain't me, I'm not rich, hold on, don't click off. Because even if this cap would not hit your check directly today, what it says about the future of Social Security is the part I do not want you to miss. Source. See, this is not just about one fancy couple in a golf cart somewhere getting a big Social Security check. No, ma'am. No, sir. This is about the government looking around, seeing the money problem coming, and saying, we have got to start talking about cuts, caps, changes, and limits. And whenever Washington starts using words like that, Auntie Grace wants you paying attention. So take a breath with me. Because this one right here, this could change how people think about retirement forever. And Auntie Grace is going to break this down for you. If you are new here, welcome in, sweetie. I'm Auntie Grace, and around this kitchen table, we tell the truth about money, retirement, Social Security, and all the little fine print mess folks wish somebody had explained earlier. I'm not here to scare you. I am here so you do not get blindsided. Because let me tell you something, retirement is hard enough without surprises. Groceries high, insurance high, medicine high. And now folks are talking about putting a ceiling on benefits some people thought they had earned fair and square. So today, we're going to talk about what this $50,000 Social Security cap really means, who it could affect, why people are pushing it, what could happen if it becomes law, how it fits into the much bigger Social Security mess, and most important of all, what you need to do right now so you are not sitting around later saying, nobody told me. And baby, Auntie Grace is telling you. Now let's start simple. When people say the $50,000 Social Security cap, what they are talking about is a proposal to limit how much a single retiree could receive in Social Security benefits in a year to $50,000 if they retire around normal retirement age. For married couples, a proposal would cap total annual benefits at $100,000. The people behind the idea call it the six-figure limit. That means if somebody's benefit calculation says they should get more than that amount, the extra would be cut off at the cap. Now listen carefully, because this matters. This is not saying everybody gets only $50,000. It is saying that if your benefit would go above that number, the government would stop it there. Think of it like this, honey. If your cup only holds so much, anything poured above the rim spills over. This proposal is trying to put a lid on the biggest Social Security checks. And there is one more wrinkle because Lord knows they love wrinkles in retirement rules. The cap would also be adjusted based on when you claim benefits. So if a couple delays until age 70, their limit would be higher. If they claim early at 62, their limit would be lower. In the proposal, a couple claiming at 70 could face a limit of about $124,000, while a couple claiming at 62 could be limited to about $70,000. Source. So no, it is not one flat number for every situation. And yes, that makes it more confusing than it needs to be, because apparently government policy cannot just sit down and behave. Now, before anybody starts hyperventilating into a paper bag, let Auntie Grace calm this part down. As of right now, this is a proposal. It is not law. Nobody is saying your Social Security check is automatically changing tomorrow morning. But I don't want you to make the mistake a whole lot of folks make, which is this. They ignore proposals until one day those proposals start turning into serious political conversation. That is how people get caught off guard. And when money is involved, especially retirement money, getting caught off guard is expensive. So no, don't panic, but yes, pay attention. There is a difference. Who would this affect? Now let's talk about who this would actually hit. First and most directly, this proposal is aimed at higher earners. We're talking about people who spent many years earning at or above the Social Security taxable wage cap, and who also structured retirement in a way that pushes their benefits toward the top end. That includes some high-income professionals, executives, business owners, certain dual-income married couples, and people who delayed claiming until later ages so their checks grew larger. Source. Now, for most retirees today, this would not hit their check directly. In fact, one report on the proposal said it would initially affect only a tiny slice of the very top beneficiaries. But over time, more people could feel it as maximum benefits keep rising and more high earners move through the system. Source. Now let me make this plain. If you are living on a modest Social Security benefit, this proposal is probably not aimed at you. If you are a couple getting, let's say, a combined $3,500 a month, this is not your fight at the front door. But if you are a higher income retiree or you are still working and expect a very large Social Security benefit one day, then yes, sweetie, this could matter to you. And for younger folks with strong incomes, I don't want you to shrug this off either, because once lawmakers get comfortable changing the top end, that tells you the system is under real pressure. That pressure can spread. Why is this being proposed? Now here comes the heart of the matter. Why would anybody even propose something like this? Because Social Security has a money problem, a serious one. The Social Security Administration's own trustees say the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund is projected to be depleted in 2033, and after that, ongoing income would be enough to pay only about 77% of scheduled benefits. Source. And let me translate that into kitchen table English. If Congress does nothing, the system would not go to zero, but it would only be able to pay about 3/4 of what people were promised. That means an automatic cut of around 23%, and some analysts still talk about that risk as roughly 20 to 25% across the board, depending on the year and the assumptions used. Source. Now, baby, that is the real storm cloud. That is why ideas like this $50,000 cap keep showing up. The people pushing the cap say, why should Social Security pay six-figure annual benefits to wealthy households when the whole system is running short on money? They argue that Social Security was supposed to be a base of support, not a giant retirement jackpot for people who already have plenty. Source. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that is the argument, and I need you to understand it, because this debate is not going away. The reason this rubs people the wrong way is simple. A whole lot of Americans were told all their working lives, pay in and you'll get your benefits. So when somebody hears, well, actually, we might cap what you get, their first thought is, excuse me? I paid for that. And that feeling is understandable, very understandable, because Social Security has always had this emotional piece to it. It is not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It is trust, it is security, it is the promise that after decades of work, you will have something steady coming in. So when lawmakers start talking about limits, people hear something deeper. They hear the rules may change. And honey, that is why folks get nervous. Because the moment retirement stops feeling predictable, people start realizing just how fragile their plan might be. Let me give you a real-world type of example. Let's say we have a woman named Denise. Denise worked for 35+ years. Good career, strong income, paid plenty into the system. She delayed claiming because everybody told her waiting would give her the biggest check. Now let's say her Social Security benefit would come out above that $50,000 annual cap for a single person at normal retirement age. Under this proposal, Denise would not receive the full amount the current formula says she earned. The excess above the cap could be trimmed away. Source. Now Denise is not poor. She may be just fine, but that does not mean she would be happy. And can I blame her? Not entirely. Because if she planned around that bigger number, then a cap changes her math. Maybe that means less travel, less gifting to grandkids, less flexibility for long-term care later. Maybe it just means anger. And honestly, that part would be earned too. Now let's take a married couple. Let's call them Robert and Elaine. Both worked strong careers, both paid Social Security taxes for years. They planned carefully, they delayed benefits, they did what the books said, they did what the advisors said. Now together, their retirement benefits would push above the proposed $100,000 annual couple limit, or whatever adjusted number applies based on claiming age. Under the proposal, some of that benefit could be cut back. Now, here is where the sass comes in, honey. Folks like Robert and Elaine will say, so we did everything right, and now because the government cannot manage the bigger problem, you want to come shave off our check? See? That is why this topic gets hot real fast. Because from one side, it looks like a reasonable cap on wealthy retirees. From the other side, it looks like changing the rules after people played by them. And the truth is, both sides feel something real here. Now, let's talk about Gloria. Gloria worked retail, then caregiving, then part-time school food service. She gets a modest Social Security benefit and maybe a little pension, maybe not. She hears about this proposal and says, well, that sounds like rich people business. And for the moment, she may be right. This proposal probably would not cut Gloria's own check directly. But here is why Gloria should still care. Because the very fact that lawmakers are floating benefit caps tells you how serious the long-term Social Security funding problem has become. And if Congress still cannot fix the larger issue before the trust fund deadline, everybody could be staring at reduced payments later, not just the folks with big checks. That is why Auntie Grace keeps saying, even when a policy does not hit your front porch today, you better notice what neighborhood it is entering. Now, sweetie, this right here is the bigger truth. The $50,000 cap is not the whole story. It is one patch on a much bigger hole. Social Security's Retirement Trust Fund is projected to run short in 2033, and if lawmakers do not act, benefits would have to be paid at reduced levels from incoming tax revenue alone. That is where the talk of a roughly 23 to 24% cut comes from. So lawmakers have a few ugly choices. They can raise taxes, they can reduce benefits, they can move the retirement age, they can change the formula, or they can do some combination of all of the above. Ain't that cheerful? No, ma'am. But pretending the problem is not there will not fix it. And that is why these proposals keep getting more attention. Because once the calendar starts getting too close to the deadline, all the we'll deal with it later's, folks suddenly want to deal with it later's consequences. So what happens if some version of this actually becomes law? Well, first, it would set a very clear precedent. It would say that Social Security benefits at the top are not unlimited, even for people who paid in the maximum for years. Second, it could push higher earners to think differently about retirement planning. They may lean harder on 401ks, IRAs, Roth accounts, brokerage accounts, and other savings instead of counting on a giant Social Security check. Third, it could open the door to even more targeted benefit changes later. And that, honey, is what I want you watching. Because today, it's just the top. Tomorrow, it could be, well, maybe upper middle. Then next year, somebody says, let's tweak this one little formula. And before you know it, retirement planning starts feeling like trying to build a house on a moving sidewalk. Now, I'm not saying that will absolutely happen. I'm saying once policymakers start adjusting one major promise, you need to accept that more adjustments can follow. That is just grown folk reality. So what should you do right now? First, do not panic. Panic makes people do foolish things, sell the wrong investment, claim benefits too early, ignore taxes, freeze up, and do nothing. Take a breath with me. Good. Now let's do the wise thing. Start by looking at your retirement plan and asking one simple question. If Social Security ends up paying me less than I expected, will I still be okay? That is the question. Not, will Congress fix it? Not, what did some man on TV say? Not, what did my cousin post on Facebook? No. Ask yourself whether your plan can handle less. If the answer is no, then this is your wake-up call. Build more flexibility into your retirement. Save more if you still can. Trim waste where it makes sense. Delay retirement if that is realistic. Increase other income sources if possible. And do not base your whole future on one government check behaving exactly the way you hope. And yes, honey, let's talk about Roth conversions, because Auntie Grace is not going to leave that part sitting in the corner. If you are in that middle zone before required minimum distributions hit and your tax bracket is manageable, a Roth conversion may help you create more tax-free money later. That can give you more flexibility if Social Security changes, taxes rise, or future income planning gets tight. Now, I am not telling everybody to run out and convert everything tomorrow morning. No, ma'am. That has to be looked at carefully, especially with taxes, Medicare premium brackets, and timing. But for many retirees and pre-retirees, this is exactly why tax diversification matters. You want some money that is taxable, some money that is tax-deferred, and some money that is tax-free. Because when the rules change, flexibility is power. And honey, in retirement, power is peace. Here are a few more things I want you to do. Know your estimated Social Security benefit. Know what your monthly budget really is. Know what expenses are fixed and what expenses can bend. Know how long your savings might last under a less Social Security scenario. And if you are married, please talk through survivor planning, because retirement numbers always look different after one spouse is gone, and too many couples do not plan for that until grief is already in the room. Also, if you work with a financial planner, do not just ask, "Am I okay?" Ask this instead. Can you run my plan with a 20 to 25% cut in future Social Security benefits and show me what changes? That is the grown-up question. That is how you prepare without panicking. Now, let Auntie Grace leave you with this. Do not let headlines make you helpless. Yes, this proposed $50,000 Social Security cap is serious. Yes, it could affect high earners and some married couples in a very real way. Yes, it's another sign that the Social Security system has problems that lawmakers can no longer keep shoving under the rug. But no, sweetie, you are not powerless. You are not too late, and you are not the only one trying to make sense of this mess. The goal is not to panic, the goal is to prepare. That means learning the facts, watching the policy changes, making your retirement plan stronger, building options while you still can. Because let me tell you something, honey. Peace in retirement does not come from pretending nothing will change. Peace comes from knowing that even if things do change, you have already started getting ready. And that's exactly what we do here. So, if this helped you, put "Plan, don't panic" down in the comments so I know you're thinking like family. And if you've got a friend, sister, brother, church member, coworker, or spouse who still thinks Social Security is too solid to worry about, send this to them. Lovingly, maybe a little sassily, but send it. And if you want Auntie Grace to keep breaking down retirement news in plain English, go on and subscribe, honey. Because out here, the headlines may be messy, but you do not have to face them alone.